Hi there, I'm Karen Young. Welcome to the Jewellers Academy 7-Day Photography Challenge. Let's get started. The Camera Plus 2 app looks like this. It's a brightly coloured camera. I would recommend Camera Plus 2 as opposed to the older version. I'm using the Camera Plus 2 app. You can see that if I take off macro, that the scene is much further away. Obviously with statement pieces you want them nice and close, so I would recommend using the macro setting, and to focus you just touch the screen. If it's not as bright as you would like, you can just increase the exposure a touch just to get it really nicely lit. And then once you're ready, just take the shot. Some extra tools that might help you with your smartphone photography. The first is lens. Now obviously your smartphone has a lens on the back, but sometimes you might want to add additional lenses, so you can actually buy little clip-on lenses. This is one of the best ones I've found. It's by Zenvo. It does cost about £75, but you can sometimes pick up a bargain on eBay, and this just clips to the back of your smartphone. It's a really nice lens. It gets you really close up, so slightly closer up than using the macro function on your camera app, but it is costly, so I would recommend that you try the macro function on your camera app and then decide whether or not you want to invest in some extra lenses. Another tool I would recommend you purchase or consider purchasing is a tripod. You can get a number of different options with this. The first is a little tabletop one like this. Alternatively, if you already have a tripod, you can actually purchase the clamp, and that will screw onto any tripod. So this was about £10, and it's highly recommended if you already own a tripod. The final tool I would highly recommend that you get is a reflector. Now, the easiest way to create one is to buy some foam board and a jewellery clamp. So this whole setup costs less than £10. And the difference it makes to your photography in terms of bouncing off the light onto the reflector and down onto the piece just to remove those shadows is enormous. So I want to talk to you a little bit about light. Light is the most important thing to consider when taking photographs of your jewellery. And I always recommend, where possible, you use natural daylight. So I want you to take a walk around your house, look for the brightest window and set up your jewellery photography setup there. You might find at your window the light is a little bit harsh. In this case, you may want to use a light tint like we've got set up here that will diffuse the light, or even something as simple as some tracing paper or some cotton muslin is a great way to diffuse the light. The other thing to really make sure you do is switch off any lights or any of your ceiling lights. The reason for this is when you mix the different light types, it can create a funny cast on your jewellery pieces that is a bit tricky to remove in post-production. So I'm going to take a shot with my camera on tripod using Camera Plus 2. So I'm just going to open the app and you'll see that it comes up straight away with my previous settings. So this is it completely native with no preset on it. The first thing I'm going to do is move it to macro mode and just focus by tapping where I want to focus, which is the gemstone. And you can see every time I move my phone, I'm introducing an element of shake. So the way I get round this is I use a timer by clicking the little button to the right of the shutter button and moving to the timer. So most camera apps will have a timer. If you're using an Android app, you'll look for the timer in your own app. And I will set it to 5 and just hit the button. And that means the shot will take and there's no camera shake introduced by me pressing the shutter button. So it's really important to have super sharp shots of your jewellery. So I'm going to talk a little bit about focus. It is extremely important that you focus on the aspect of the picture that you want to focus on. So in this case, I want to focus on the gemstone. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to go into macro mode to get nice and close. And then on smartphones and some DSLRs, you use the touch screen to focus. So you see there that I'm focusing on the gemstone and it suddenly jumps into focus. I might up the exposure a little bit just to slightly overexpose the pictures and make everything look pop. But once I'm happy, that's nice and sharp, I will take the picture. Sometimes you'll notice that your photographs have a slight cast to them. That indicates that you need to play with your white balance. The easiest way to do this in the app is I'm just hitting manual here, and you see this WWB button. It's currently set to auto, which more often than not is okay, but you might want to play about with some of the presets in your white balance. So probably the one here that works best is daylight, which is unsurprising. But if you are using LED lights or things like that, other light sources, you might want to play about with the different presets there. You can also set a custom white balance, but for smartphone photography, I usually recommend using one of the presets. So when you're taking photos on a model, you'll find that that model moves. So all the principles we used previously about everything being lovely and still kind of go out the window, and so we need to make adaptations for that. So I use the Smart app on manual mode, and I'm basically going to take the shutter speed up to 1/125. What this means is it will accommodate a little bit of shake. Now you may have to up the ISO ever so slightly, just to get the lighting nice and in balance. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to take the shot. And you see there that that minimised the camera shake and the shake from the model. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about styling. For a lot of your shots, you're going to want to style them up to make your products appeal to people who aspire to a certain lifestyle. So you see I've got a scene set up here, dishes, and things that you can drape earrings and pendants off always work well. And I'm going to be using what's called the rule of thirds. So the rule of thirds, basically, if you look at your camera, you'll see that there is a grid on your camera. If you don't have that set up, go into the settings of the app and get that set up. And basically the theory is that your eye is naturally drawn to the points where the lines intersect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this around slightly, just so that the focus of my piece is where I want it to be. And I've got some nice little pieces here just to set it off. I'm going to focus on that too. See that I have composed this shot so that the focal point is at one of the intersections of the cross. Now this photo's for Instagram, so I've definitely got a square crop in mind for this. And what this does is it naturally leads the eye to the focus of the photograph, which in this case is the pendant. The other rule that I'm using here is the rule of odds. And the theory for the rule of odds is that it's more pleasant to the eye to have uneven numbers. So you see I have odd number of the little snowflakes. And this just helps the eye balance and is more pleasing. So here's some ideas of how you can style your shoot for Christmas. Having some Christmas lights in the background can add a really lovely feel to your photographs. You could add some gifts and some wrapping in the background, which can really look lovely. I might change out the snowflakes and use some different plates from around the house. And I might introduce some baubles or some different props just to add a little bit of interest. If you haven't already, please sign up for the 7-day challenge. Do try and post each day, even if your photos aren't perfect. The whole point of this is to learn and improve. Remember to tag us at Jewellery Academy in your post and on your stories, and use the hashtag Jewellery Academy as well. Thanks ever so much for joining me, and I hope you've had a brilliant time over this 7 days.